The Texas desert holds many secrets, but few are as chilling as the horrors buried beneath its sands. In the late 1980s, a ruthless predator hunted the streets of El Paso, luring young women to their tragic fate. His name? David Leonard Wood. A man whose crimes earned him the moniker the Desert Killer. Now, after nearly 4 decades on death row, his time is running out. Before we delve into this disturbing case, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story that explores the darkest corners of true crime. David Leonard Wood was born on June 20, 1957, in San Angelo, Texas, the second of 4 children. In the 1960s, his father, Leo, moved the family to an affluent El Paso neighborhood, where he worked as an executive. Despite their wealth, the family faced turmoil. Wood's mother, Betty, showed signs of mental illness, leading to constant arguments with his father, who would punish Wood by beating him. In the mid-1960s, Betty was hospitalized for 6 months and treated with electroconvulsive therapy. Afterward, she became addicted to illegal substances, worsening her mental health. As a result, Wood and his siblings were sent to live with relatives in Chaparral, New Mexico, and spent time in foster homes. From a young age, Wood was seen as nervous and hyperactive, which led to him being hospitalized and treated, causing him to repeat first grade. In the early 1970s, Wood spent most of his free time outdoors and became addicted to alcohol and illegal substances. In 1974, at 17, he dropped out of Parkland High School after 9th grade and tried to join the Army, but was rejected. As a result, he took up manual labor and odd jobs to make a living for a few years. In August 1976, Wood was arrested on charges of indecency with a child, for which he was convicted the following year and given a 5-year prison sentence. After serving approximately 2 years, he was granted parole and released on December 28, 1978. In March 1980, he committed 2 sexual assaults 8 days apart. In the first incident, he sexually assaulted a 19-year-old female acquaintance, and in the second, he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl whom he did not know. He was soon after found guilty and given a 20-year sentence. After serving only 6 years of his sentence, Wood was again granted parole and released on January 14, 1987, whereupon he returned to El Paso. Soon after, he landed a job at a furniture store, but would occasionally pick up side work as a laborer and auto mechanic. In his downtime, Wood was a regular at various bars and nightclubs, especially the ones with topless dancers. Additionally, he became acquainted with and eventually joined a motorcycle club, a hobby that had piqued his interest during his time in prison. With his charismatic personality, long hair, and numerous tattoos, Wood quickly became popular among teenage girls and young women, earning him many admirers and several girlfriends, one of whom eventually became his live-in partner. Between February and August 1987, 9 girls aged 13 to 24 went missing in the El Paso area. The first, 14-year-old Marjorie Knox, disappeared on February 14. A resident of Chaparral, New Mexico, a suburb of El Paso, she had traveled to the city to attend a Valentine's Day party at Veterans Park with friends. 3 weeks later, on March 7, 13-year-old Melissa Alanis also went missing. Alanis's parents told police that in the months before her disappearance, their daughter had entered puberty and become involved with a group of young men with criminal backgrounds. On June 7, El Paso police received a report about 15-year-old Desiree Wheatley's disappearance. Witnesses said they had last seen her 5 days earlier at a convenience store with a man sporting multiple tattoos on his arms. Wheatley, a student at H.E. Charles Jr. High School who lived near Wood's home, was known for avoiding alcohol and drugs. Just 3 days later, 20-year-old Karen Baker was reported missing after being last seen on June 5 at the Hawaiian Royale Motel. The case proved challenging, as witnesses provided conflicting accounts of her actions, and her mother claimed she had been kidnapped and taken to Mexico, prompting the FBI to investigate. On June 28, 19-year-old Cheryl Lynn Vasquez Dismukes, an employee at a local Whataburger, vanished after going to a Circle K for cigarettes. Witnesses said she was last seen talking to a man in a pickup truck. On July 3, 17-year-old Angelica Jeanette Frosto also disappeared. A repeat runaway since the age of 12, Frosto had often been absent from home for days or months at a time. At 15, she had dropped out of Henderson Middle School and started working as a dancer at Red Flame, a bar frequented by Wood. Police learned that on the day of her disappearance, Frosto had taken a motorcycle ride with one of her biker friends. On August 20, 24-year-old Rosa Maria Casio's parents contacted the police, reporting she had disappeared after traveling from Ciudad Juarez to El Paso on August 12 to buy postage stamps. The next morning, her 1974 Ford Gran Torino was found abandoned on a street with her belongings still inside. Interviews with locals yielded no useful information. Casio, who worked as a topless dancer at a bar in El Paso, had planned to enroll at Dallas College Brookhaven campus to continue her education. In September 1987, 14-year-old Dawn Marie Smith, a student at Parkland High School, was reported missing after running away from home in June following an argument with her parents. She had maintained contact with family members until August 28, when all communication stopped. Local informants later told police that Smith had been shot and killed by a biker at a property in Chaparral, though this claim was never confirmed. By the fall of 1987, the community was in a state of panic, and investigators were desperate for answers. On September 4, El Paso Water Utilities workers found Casio's remains in a shallow grave northwest of the city. As they continued their investigation with K-9 units, they discovered Baker's remains nearby. Both victims were identified through their clothing and personal items. Casio's cause of death was believed to be strangulation, while Baker's could not be determined due to advanced decomposition. On September 19, Judith Kelling Brown, a prostitute and substance addict, reported to police that a man had lured her into his truck, claiming to drive her home. Instead, he drove her to the desert, where he sexually assaulted her and then attempted to strangle her. He abandoned her when passers-by interrupted. Later, Brown identified the man as Wood. On October 20, hikers discovered the remains of Wheatley and Smith in shallow graves near Casio and Baker. The location matched Brown's testimony, leading police to suspect Wood. Witnesses confirmed that both Casio and Baker had been seen with Wood before their disappearances, and he was arrested on October 23, 1987, for kidnapping and sexually assaulting Kelling. 2 weeks later, the remains of Frosto were found nearby. On March 14, 1988, Ivy Williams' remains were discovered. She had been stabbed multiple times and identified as a dancer. On June 16, 1988, Wood was convicted of kidnapping and sexually assaulting Kelling, receiving a 50-year sentence. After Wood's conviction, police searched his car, personal belongings, and apartment, guided by testimony from friends of the victims who had seen them with Wood. Wood's roommate revealed that he had cleaned his car before the arrest. As Kelling had reported seeing Wood take a blanket from his truck before attacking her, police focused their search on finding it. During the investigation, they found yellow and orange fibers in a vacuum cleaner bag, which, upon analysis, matched fibers found on the victim's clothing. The roommate also testified that Wood kept an orange blanket and shovels in his truck. In jail, inmates claimed Wood boasted about his crimes, describing how he lured women into his truck with promises of illegal substances, then sexually assaulted and killed them before burying them. Wood was charged with the murders of 6 women, although the bodies of 3 victims are still missing. Wood and his attorneys attempted to delay the trial, requesting a change of venue due to the intense media attention surrounding the case. The trial was eventually moved to Dallas and scheduled for September 1992. Throughout the proceedings, Wood maintained his innocence, acknowledging he knew many of the victims but denying any involvement in their deaths. In November 1992, he was convicted of all 6 murders and sentenced to death on January 14, 1993. Since his conviction, Wood has consistently maintained his innocence and, with the help of his attorneys, filed several appeals, none of which have been successful. His original execution date was set for August 20, 2009, but just one day before, it was postponed after his lawyers argued that he showed signs of mental disability. This appeal came in light of the Supreme Court's 2002 ruling in Atkins v. Virginia, which declared the execution of mentally disabled offenders unconstitutional. Wood's lawyers submitted evidence from 6 IQ tests taken between 1977 and 2011, with scores ranging from 64 to 111. However, the tests were inconsistent, as they didn't clearly explain which versions Wood took when he was younger. In 2014, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals rejected his appeal, citing unreliable psychiatric findings and weak evidence to support his claim of intellectual impairment. In 2016, Wood's legal team filed another appeal, seeking to overturn his sentence and call for a new trial based on DNA evidence. They presented biological samples from victims' clothing and personal items, as well as a blood-stained knife found among Wood's belongings, believed to be connected to one of the murders. They also asked for documents related to two other suspects, Salvador Martinez and Edward Dean Barton, to be unsealed. However, the trial judge denied this request in 2022, and the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals upheld the ruling. After this, a new execution date was scheduled for March 13, 2025. Wood remains on death row at the Allen B. Polunsky Unit in West Livingston, awaiting execution. What do you think? Do you believe Wood is truly guilty of all 6 murders, or is there more to the story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more chilling true crime stories. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.